the dynamic of this commission tonight as you debated and talked about the permit. And I found it incredible that you took from 5 to 10 minutes to even verbalize that article that talks about the water table, and the attorney had to finally read it from your regulations. I find that deplorable, and I'm going to work my goddamnedest to make sure that everybody who is elected to this commission is changed next time around.
Amen.
My name is Debbie Carlson Chandler, and I live at 485 Quakertown Farm Road, and I've lived in Thompson for over 25 years. I just want to say one thing to all of you. I hope you look at all of us, because we pay taxes here. Our children go to school here. We go to the library, come to the library, and we're your neighbors. And yet you went with them, who don't live in the town, and have only raped the town of everything, and not given back. Alan Rossum has done great for Putnam, but what has he done for Thompson, except take things away? So, with that being said, I hope you know we're your neighbors, and you look at us in the eye, and we see you in the store or the church, or here, or at the town hall, and that you feel really good about it, because I will tell you one thing. If an accident occurs, you will see all of us there, and we will hold all of you responsible. Because I drive on that road 2-3 times a day. I'm like the get-goer in my neighborhood, believe me. I go by her house, Mrs. Rice over there, and no, I'm not, where that curve goes, if you're not from this town, and you're not from that neighborhood, you meet people that are in the middle of the road. And it is very scary, let me tell you. But I will hold all of you responsible.
Except the ones that say. Nancy Brennan, I live at 496 Quakertown Farm Road.
I know you did.
I praise Brian Santos for his comments earlier about looking into and researching on his time, which is what we ask our delegates to do for us, is to research on their part as well as use the bylaws to make sure that we're protected. Living on that street, it's a very narrow road. It's not in good repair. I can speak for the trucks that do drive down that road today, and it's very dangerous. And so I would ask you to reconsider his input, the input from the fellow townspeople who said at prior meetings, it was brought up that they wanted a traffic study, because Spicer is much wider, it is much straighter, it's a lot easier to see ahead of you that there's a truck coming. You can't see that on certain curves on Quakertown Farm Road, which makes it extremely dangerous and hazardous for driving conditions for anyone passing over that road, whether they're a Thompson resident or a Rhode Island resident or anyone.
Well, there's all blind on the Spicer, so there's no good
All right,
road.
thank you.
Residential.
Who came up with the idea that there's one truck an hour coming out? Where did that come from?
I believe,
Just based on the calculation of just.
Because I've never seen them do one truck an hour. And we're not talking 10-wheelers, we're talking how many 18-wheelers do you ever see on Quakertown Farm Road? I just want to know that. I mean, not even delivery trucks go down Quakertown Farm Road. Where are you coming up with letting 18-wheelers go down the road like it's a normal truck? Triaxles, yeah, they can manage it, they do it all the time.
okay, do you drive truck?
I don't.
Okay, let me tell you, I've driven truck for 40 years.
Okay.
Semi-trailer, especially a gravel trailer, a short trailer, is much more maneuverable than a school bus. Now, I haven't heard anything about changing.
School bus is once a day, twice a day.
No, well, probably 4 times.
I'm telling you, these trucks are gonna be 3 an
I'm
hour.
telling you, you're giving
I know that.
information out that's not.
I don't know, I don't drive trucks, but I drive down that road every day. And then I drive a lifted truck, and I come into that corner, I have to go 5 miles an hour. It's a tight corner.
And a triaxle or a dump trailer is the same exact regulations as far as width goes, and it's shorter, it's
That's
infill, it
set.
turns in the.
That's set.
Okay. so
Let's get a truck
okay,
go down, no, let's see a truck stay inside those lines. Because you never did a traffic study. I had to measure it all by hand just to show you the road.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be an ass, I'm just saying it's a bad, bad point.
The attorney said we should have a study anyway, so why don't we
All right.
direct?
And that's all I'm saying.
Okay, thank you. Reports of officers and staff.
Wait a minute, I have,
Well, go ahead, last one.
Denise Coffey, 290 Watertown Farm Road. And I just wanted to make a couple of, I wanted to read this into the record because before I came to this meeting, I was going through the minutes from last public hearing, which I attended. And I take notes because I write for the Hartford Current Community News. And there were no comments recorded from your residents. You had a letter read from an attorney from Canterbury. You had a letter read from Carolyn Word, whose position as a conservation commission person wasn't included, and her letter was vague. So, I just wanted to say that this should make it into the minutes. David Held from Provo and Rivero, representing the applicant, introduced new information on that site plan last public hearing. And people didn't have time to examine it or study it, so they could ask questions. And they asked for a continuation of the public hearing, and it was not given. According to Mr. Held, plans were to excavate within the 8-foot buffer above the water table, and Townville regulations prohibit this. Residents cited concerns about impact to Robbins Brook, Stump Pond, and other bodies of water, should that excavation go into the 8-foot buffer above the water table. Residents cited safety concerns about site distances and curves on Watertown Farm Road, widths of road not sufficient to handle traffic. One resident provided a measurement of the road and trunk widths. A petition of 296 names submitted opposing the operation was never included in the minutes. These are your residents who are here at a public hearing, addressing their concerns, and that was never in the minutes. Some asked that the town could get a second opinion of the application operation from an ECOG engineer. It was the opinion of several residents that the public and the Planning and Zoning Commission could deny special permit based on the 6 criteria that are in the town regulations. 6 regulations, and you could argue either way, yes or no, but they were saying you could argue no based on all the concerns they cited. And I'd like the record to show these comments were made during the 2+ hour public hearing, but not recorded in the minutes. So these are
Someone knows we're here.
Fine.
All right, reports of officers.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
There's more. We're not done.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I just wanted to, my name is Josh Costa, I live on 125 New Road. I just want to state that the fact that this situation with Watertown Farm Road, as Mr. Rice even mentioned, a bad corner and having the sign, I mean, it's almost comical. And the fact that the board did not even recognize that is not only alarming, but it's odd. That's all I'm going to say.
We'll move on to reports of officers and staff. Budget report.
Can't take the truth.
Not anything on, but wait for the budget, right?
Yeah, the approval, we're still working on the past budget, we're at 8% expended.
Director of Planning and Development report.
Mr. Chairman, the items that I was going to address in there are actually already on the agenda, either under item 11 or item 12, so I can wait for that. I don't have a whole written report.
Again, like the planner, 2 items, I did give you.
You want to leave so that we can continue our meeting? Carry conversation down the hall.
I think the state should be using their submission.
All right, Sandy.
You should
Okay,
retire.
I don't have a standing memorandum for you, but
Are you gonna volunteer?
I might. Mr. Chairman, may I suggest
That would
a
be good.
recess in a few minutes, because you want to leave, you leave, and then we'll be able to hear one another. A recess for 5 minutes.
Recess for 5 minutes. Otherwise, we'll ask you. We have a.
Well, it looks like it's irrelevant now. People want to leave.
All right. Not gonna ask for the recess, we're gonna continue.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you, if you have discussion, please take it out in the hall. We're trying to conduct a meeting, whether you like it or not. Sandy.
Okay, due to lack of time, I don't have my regular lengthy memorandum, but there are 2 items I believe I passed out to you before that will be addressed later on in our, one is new, old business and one is new business.
Okay, correspondence, Madison Avenue, 30 bond.
Just to inform you that they do have the shirt.
Now, so we notice this is a public hearing, town of Webster, ZBA. Second council letter regarding EMP mobile at 720 Quinnipiac Road. Signing of Mylar, there are none.
No.
Business, inactive gravel operation, 40 Quick Road.
Sorry, nothing.
PCC subcommittee, zoning hearing meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I have an appointment tomorrow morning with John Filchak to go over the latest draft. Just him and I, he and I, and Cindy, I believe, is going to join me. So we've got comments, both of my markups and comments received from CME and J&D Engineering as advisory and engineering firms who have an interest in some of the sections. And hopefully we'll be sending out suggestions for new dates to meet, so we can discuss them in a group.
Okay, thank you. Detailed review summary of EDC training committee event.
That's at your discretion, Mr. Chairman. It's 2 months on. We've been delayed in talking about it because we've been dealing with this contentious issue. I would welcome any feedback any of you had from that event since you all attended. I have the results. I've been using them in writing grants, and you know, they're helpful to me, but if there was any specific input that any of you had after that, we haven't had the opportunity to discuss it previously. So.
Does anyone have any input there at this point? Not. Take
Yeah.
something you need to later. Discussion of drainage problem at 440 Riverside Drive, 442 Riverside Drive, Mr. Eagle property.
Okay, I passed you the violation packet I sent to the owner of 440 Riverside Drive. I believe I gave him 15 days to respond to summarize the violations, summary of violations. Many of them resulted from my research from this violation or this issue, I guess I would say, since 2006. We're bringing it up to date. And they received it certified mail. I have not received the green card back yet, but I did personally drop a copy off at the gas station on my way home because that's how I go on Riverside Drive. And I will keep you posted.
New business?
All right. I saved my piece of, oh, here it is right here. gave this to you tonight, and I apologize for it. I just wrote it up before I left the office today. This is in relationship to an alleged violation at 484, 486 Aquatic Town Farm Road.
Can't hear.
484, 486 Aquatic Town Farm Road.
Do you want me to introduce myself? Happily.
Okay. So, you read the detailed description of the complaint, the basic, the basics of the complaint is that there, was a accusation of an active gravel mining operation. So I gave you the history of what I did with it. I received the complaint July 12th, and again, you saw the amendment complaint July 15th, which I neglected to put in this report here, but it was amended. I made an appointment with the property owner for July 15th. We walked property, I took pictures. Owner agreed to stop hauling until Monday, July 15th, when I would call him. July 15th, I also followed one of Barnes concrete trucks going out of the property, and I made the next statement with the understanding that I knew the truck driver. The truck driver knew I was following. But there was no dust coming up, but in fairness, it rained the day before. The truck driver was careful driving. He stayed within the lines on Aquatic Town Farm Road. And I followed him up to Bros Landing, and then I made a right turn on Bros Landing to visit another site. July 15th, I talked to the owner and told him not to do any more hauling until he hears from me on Tuesday, July 23rd, which would be tomorrow. July 17th, I came to work and was notified that there were trucks hauling off the property, Barnes, and a landscaping truck. I called on owner, no answer, called Barnes, and asked him to stop hauling, and he said he would stop. On July, again, I did talk to the owner, he called me back, and he was under the impression I was sending him a cease and desist. I reminded him that the conversation was a verbal agreement, and to stop hauling, please stop hauling until he hears from me on Tuesday, July 23rd, 2019, he said he would. So, understanding that this is the past record right here, the yellow is the past from 1999, I believe it was, right? 1999? Yeah, okay. So that's when the gravel operation started, around 1999. If you want the exact date, I can look at here. All the way up to 2005, when they stopped renewing the permits because it was excavated as they wanted it to be excavated, and they stockpiled it. So in my limited time, I reviewed the gravel operation regulations and a limited review of past permits and subdivision to determine if he is currently in violation of the regulations. Now understand, I'm going to go back a little bit. This was done before I came here. I've only been here, this September would be 2 years. So all of this would take extensive research. Not only the file here, but all the minutes and extensive research on the renewals and on the reclamation process and the approval of the reclamation. And at that point, I never even got to, I barely had time to look at the subdivisions. So, as I said, in my limited time, I reviewed the gravel operation regulations and limited review of past permits and subdivisions to determine if he is in violation of the regulations. Here are some issues. There is no excavation or mining in progress. All excavation mining appears to have been completed under approved permits. Product recovered from earth with a permitted gravel removal permit is stockpiled presently. Owner is preparing area to apply for a building permit to build a dwelling on an approved subdivision lot. Owner is in the process of preparing a site plan for the dwelling. Owner was removing stockpile to start the process of preparing to build a dwelling. Present removal activity by Barnes Concrete has been 1,236 cubic yards. So, the area in question is over a half an acre, which you do have to apply for a special permit. And so I quoted the regulations here to you concerning applying for a special permit over the half acre, and I put it half acre, or over 3,000 cubic yards. Without having to read the whole regulation here, the key word on this regulation, asking them to come back for a new permit, is proposed excavation, to come for a new, start cleaning a new permit. They are not planning on doing any more excavation. All there is stockpile. So, interpreting this part of the regulation, one would state that the property owner needs to apply for a gravel operation permit. My hesitation in requiring the property owner to do so is the phrase, which I put bold in this writing, proposed excavation. There would be no proposed excavation because that process was completed under valid gravel permits. And further into the regulation, as you read, more of the requirements of that section to get a special permit, it keeps using the words excavation. In conclusion, even though it's still another 2 pages, in conclusion, due to the limited time from the first date of the complaint to today's meeting, there's not been enough time to do a thorough review of the past gravel permits, record of reclamation. I also added here examining the minutes. I did not put that in here, but that is the other area I would have to look at. Let me just write that down so I don't forget. Examination of the subdivision and how the subdivision relates to the gravel operation. The property owner and hauler have cooperated in shutting down the removal process. But I personally, as CEO, am not in complete agreement that the zoning office can legally require this shutdown without reference to a regulation that addresses removal of stockpile material from a closed gravel operation. There is my conflict. It's a closed operation and you have stockpile material. You are eventually going to get that property ready for that subdivision, for that particular lot. Originally it was 2 lots and then they combined it into 1 lot. And then there's 1 more lot left after that one, if I'm not mistaken.
There's 2 lots.
There's 2, okay. So that's the conflict right there. In addition to the above remaining stockpiles from a closed gravel operation, it is not addressed in section 5 under exempt operations. We went through the A, B, C, D exempt, and this doesn't qualify for any of those. And then our regulation definition of earth processing, alteration of earth materials excavating on site, including mixing with earth materials or approved materials imported to the site, using authorized processing equipment, including but not limited to screening and crushing, production of concrete, asphalt, and other earth materials. My parentheses on this, my comment is materials stockpiled in this site have been through the process of earth processing. Excavation shall mean the severance from the earth's surface or removal from the ground of soil, loam, sand, gravel, clay, rock, topsoil, or any other earth material. It's already been removed and it's stockpiled. And gravel, the definition, it says see earth processing definition. Mr. DeRozier is here, if you have any questions of him. I'm sure he'd be happy to answer, or if you have any questions of me in considering this report that I've just given to you. On a situation that the complainant feels very serious in that area. So, and the only other requirement I would make of that property is to require a driveway apron on there and coming out of the property. And also to make sure that there's the dust control.
Does anyone have any questions for Cindy or Mr. DeRosa?
What's the timeline on,
Could be by the end of this year, I want the driveway in, hopefully breaking ground, foundation. If I can get that pound good out of it, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Does anyone have any comments or words of wisdom for Cindy as far as her thought process on the way she's approaching this?
Mr. Chairman, can I, is the question that the material that he has stockpiled from a previously approved gravel operation, can he now, and it's been a while since that operation's closed, at least the permit has, can he still take that material out of the area and get rid of it? I guess that's the question for the commission. He's already, you know, that was part of the original application and excavation. He just stockpiled it and never took it off site or sold it. So can he do that now at this point?
And understanding that my brief, looking at this record, and it was very brief, I don't see any reclamation order or any reclamation report, but that's not to say that's not in the minutes. Do believe I did come across 1 minute, one set of minutes, I think, don't quote me, because, no, I guess not. I believe there was 1 minute, and if I copied it, then it's somewhere that stated everything was fine to the board, and they approved closing it, so. But I would have to, research that more.
So the question still remains, can he dispose of that material that's been excavated on an authorized gravel permit?
Yep.
I guess, Attorney Roberts, maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I would think that that had been processed and stockpiled, and if somebody wants to challenge Cindy on that, they can come bring us to court, or we can
go to the ZBA.
Yeah, they can appeal my decision to the ZBA.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say, you've reviewed the regulations, you've looked at some things, and it's your conclusion under the regulations that this basically isn't covered. So you've made an interpretation that it's not covered by the regulations. So I guess you're probably within your rights to either dictate the conditions under which it can be removed or do additional research subject to guidance from the commission. And if someone is unhappy with your order, they can go to the ZBA and appeal to it.
So, going back to one statement, you said I can, say go ahead and go or do additional research. If the choice is to do additional research, then do we still keep the stop order of hauling out of there for additional research?
Yes.
So, and that's, the additional research would only be on, is there anything that I kind of missed in looking at the
I
record?
guess my question, Cindy, you've got here about 1,236 cubic yards have been removed. Presently.
Right, in the
now,
last,
but he is exempt up to 3,000 yards. Where's the conflict between 1,236 and 3,000?
how did we answer that, John? I forgot when I was looking at that. There was an answer to that, and I apologize, but.
I mean, in our regulations, there is no
Oh,
time.
I guess the answer to that is, is it a gravel operation? Gravel removal operation?
Well,
Right.
I'm reading the exempt operations.
Oh, okay, I know the answer to that, I'm sorry. The exempt operation, he doesn't qualify under the A, B, C, and D. There's no qualification under A, B, C, and D of the exemption. He's not doing construction work right now. He's,
But I think that Alan's point is that he's saying he's authorized to remove 3,000 yards of gravel without doing
Right.
anything. And no time frame given within that 3,000 yards. You can do 300 yards in 10 years.
I'm good with that.
Points to the weakness of our regulations.
I made reference to that in my
How much
report.
of the stuff?
Where's my report?
Is done?
It's not here. Yes.
Were you given an idea how much of the stock?
Oh, it's,
How much of the stock?
About half
oh
done.
yeah, I have a
They're
lot
half
of
done.
pictures here.
They're half done right now.
No. The amount of cubic yards that you had, or how much you got left.
Like I said, they're half done now, and the rest of the half was, how many yards they take?
What, 1236?
Where'd that number come from?
So if you get half
Take a
left,
slip from bonds. Who's asking, by the way?
Yeah.
I'm asking where that number came from.
I don't know. I don't know.
no, I'm just, I know you're getting this.
I have it in the
You have to
record
have
where it
that
came
recorded to yourself how many
Yeah,
yards he's
yeah.
taking. That's smart on your part too. So if that whole pile was under 3,000 yards, according to our regulations, I see no problem, because one, you're not doing any active gravel mining, you're not doing anything. It's material that was already stockpiled from the operation.
Well, it's
So you have two
it's taking away
choices,
the
either-
driveway is the reason I'm moving it.
Well, you got two choices, either you remove it, or you put it back someplace on the property where you
In a pile.
can use it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to move it twice, you know.
I understand. I'm just giving you the alternatives. You got two choices, out the door, or you put it back somewhere in the back room.
It says removed from the site.
Remove from the site.
You can play around with 3,000 cubic yards.
Whatever you want. I agree.
Again, with no time.
I agree. Again, it's in the regulations. I agree.
The regulations also state it's to use your own materials. He has barns, trucking, going in and out
I'm
of there
just
every
not
25 minutes.
I asked him that question if he wanted to use it again.